If the savings goal feature in Quicken has either eluded you or perhaps confused you, this is the video for you. I'm going to get into it and explain all the positives and negatives of using the savings goal feature. I'm Joe DiSanto, by the way, a fractional CFO for businesses and high income individuals, and all around Quicken expert here on YouTube. Okay, I have Quicken up here. I am, by the way, in Quicken Classic for Windows, and Quicken Classic is the desktop, locally installed version of Quicken. They do have a Quicken Classic for Mac version as well, which is the locally installed Mac version, and now they have a web-based only version called Quicken Simplify. Each of the other versions probably has a similar tool in it. Maybe I've even made a video about it, that tool in that version. Not sure if I've done that yet, but you could go look. And here we go. So I am in the planning section of Quicken, and in planning, there's a bunch of things. There's the budgeting feature, which I have a video on. Check that out. There's the debt reduction feature, which is kind of a debt reduction calculator, lifetime planner, tax center. I got videos on all these by now, but this is the savings goal feature. And it's got its positives and minuses. The positive is that it's a tool that will help you perhaps achieve one or more of your savings goals. And what could those goals be? They could be, I'm saving for our next vacation. I'm saving for my kids' college. Obviously, you're saving for retirement all the time, whether you're actively doing it or know of it. You're always in the process of going towards retirement. But the retirement savings, I think, is probably more this lifetime planner is meant for that. That's a much bigger picture thing. I think the savings goal feature is a little bit more, short-term, medium-term money I'm going to save and then I'm going to spend, on something, not necessarily save for retirement. Okay, now, the negatives of this tool are slightly the way it honestly works, and I'm going to explain that. But let's just get into it. If I want to do a savings goal, we come here and we get started. And let's just say vacation. And our goal amount is $10,000. And I want to reach this goal by, actually it was, let's say a year from now, let's say June 1st, 2027. And I hit that, and basically you're going to see what happens here. There's now all of a sudden we have this new tab over here called savings goal, and under it I have vacation. Okay. And what it is done is de facto created an other account here of my list of accounts. But this account actually functions just like every other account in here. It's got a register. You can put money in, you can take money out, you can transfer money in, and so on. And that's good and bad, the way that it actually kind of is doing that. And I'm going to explain why. So, where are we planning? So, this holding tank of sorts, or this savings goal account, is a place you can, put your money aside. But I'm going to show you how that works and why it's a little weird, but how Quicken gives you some options to alleviate the weirdness, if you will. I know that's a completely crazy way to describe this, but our goal is to get to $10,000 by a year from now, which means we have to put a monthly contribution of $833.33. So it kind of factored that. If I contribute to this goal, if I use this feature here, hey, I'm going to make a contribution to this on August 1st of my amount, and I'm going to contribute from we'll say my personal checking, and I hit OK, I'm going to show you what happens. Over here in personal checking on 8/1, we've entered a transaction for $833 to go to our vacation savings goal, and you can see that it showed up here. And this essentially is entered as just a regular transfer. Here's the problem. This vacation savings goal is not a real account in real life, but this personal checking account is. And unless this were a real life savings account, when we put this entry into the personal checking account, we are essentially saying that in reality, I have taken $833.33. Like, I could go on my bank account login and I can see that I've moved that money somewhere. But we're not going to do that because, like, in reality, because this vacation goal account here is fictitious, meaning it's just, something we have in Quicken. It's not an actual account in the bank. We could go to your bank and you could make a vacation savings account for real, and you could move money into it, and we would have it set up in Quicken, and this vacation account would now be a real account. I don't know. You might want to do that. You might say, hey, I got my college fund savings account, my vacation savings account, and I actually use them. But Quicken's not, that's not happening just because you set it up in Quicken. And the problem there is our real life balance, or the balance in our real life account, has gone down here, even though we have not moved the money. And that's in some ways good because you're like, hey, well, I see less money in account. I can only spend, 20,736 now. But the truth is, it's still really 21,609 in your account. And I always say everything in Quicken should match reality. And once you start to veer off from that and you have non-real things in your personal, like your live account register, now what you're seeing in Quicken is not matching reality, and that's a bad thing. That's generally going to throw you off. However, Quicken does give you an option to not show savings goal transactions in your register. So it builds in this function and says, hey, I know the way we're doing this could potentially be bad because it doesn't match reality. So I'm going to allow you to turn off showing savings goals in the register so your register is correctly in balance. That is a decent, fix, I would say. So now what's happening is, in your head, you're sort of putting money aside. But if you take this feature off, or if you check this feature and remove the money you've moved, you now think you have more money to spend. You could potentially spend your savings inadvertently if you're not paying attention. So I guess ultimately what I'm saying is I don't particularly like this savings goal thing. I appreciate the goal of it and what it might do, but you need to use it with this possible, set of caveats or issues in mind. I think if you really want to physically have some savings goals like this, you probably should just go to your bank and set up a couple of savings accounts, call one your vacation savings, one your college savings, and physically move the money out of your checking into that and track all of those accounts in Quicken. Now, that might be contrary to things I've said in other videos where I say you should not have tons of accounts, because the more accounts you have, the more just hectic your finances are. It's harder to follow, and it's even harder to utilize Quicken to follow them because you have so many accounts and so much stuff moving all around. So I have made contradictory statements, but this savings goal thing, I think, just presents too much of a problem. And if it's really important for you to kind of have that bucket, I would maybe go make the savings account for real, and just don't make too many. Don't have a savings goal for everything. Vacation's good. Kids' college is good. I don't know what else you would have, or maybe house down payment would be another one. Kind of big things. But you don't want tons of savings accounts for no reason. Plus, your bank might charge you to have the savings account $5 a month or whatever, $10 a month. So if you're going to go do it, make sure you're going to have enough money in your global account accounts where you will avoid fees and that sort of a thing, because I hate that you would end up with extra fees. But if you think you can mentally navigate this situation in Quicken, you could utilize Quicken's savings goal function to help you visually see if you're saving the money. But again, what's happening here is you visually see this money in the savings goal, but it's still sitting in your checking account. And so if you take the money out with a transaction, your account balance is going to go off. But if you uh, don't show the deposit from your checking account in your register, you might think you have more money to spend and you negate your savings goal functionality. So a little bit of a conundrum, wanted to point that out, but having savings goals are important anyway. So you should come up with the fix that's right for you and utilize savings goals as a way to reach your overall personal finance goals. All right. Talk to you in the next Quicken video. Joe DiSanto. Bye.